All right, welcome. Today, we're going to unlock the secrets of food preservation. And hey, this isn't just about making food last longer. It is a powerful skill that's going to help you eat better, save a ton of money, and seriously cut down on your food waste.
So, let's start with a question that I know we've all asked ourselves. Why does that beautiful bunch of spinach or that fresh chicken you just bought seem to go bad in, like, the blink of an eye? What is actually going on in our kitchens?
Well, it turns out our food is fighting this invisible battle on two different fronts. On one side, you've got contamination, which is when nasty stuff like bacteria or mold finds its way onto or into the food. And on the other side, you have deterioration, which is just the food's own natural process of breaking down.
Okay, so let's really dig into the science behind this. Because if we want to learn how to stop spoilage, we first have to understand exactly what's causing it in the first place.
You see, deterioration isn't just one single thing. You've got physical stuff, like when an apple gets bruised. Then there's the chemical side, like when enzymes make a freshly cut avocado turn on brown. But the big one, the one we're really going to focus on, is biological. And that's the work of teeny tiny microorganisms. But here's where it gets really interesting. We can actually fight back. The secret to stopping these little microbes is to figure out what they love and then just take it away from them. And to do that, you only need to remember one simple acronym, HOPT. So HOTPAT stands for the 6 things microbes absolutely have to grow. They need humidity or water, they need oxygen, they need a comfy temperature, they need proteins to eat, they prefer a low acidity environment, and finally, they need time. Every single preservation method out there, from ancient drying to modern canning, is just a clever way of controlling one or more of these 6 factors. Okay, let's zoom in on temperature for a second. Look at this chart. You see that critical danger zone between 4 and 60 degrees Celsius? In that temperature range, bacteria can multiply like crazy. I mean, they can literally double their population in just 15 minutes. This is exactly why we cook food hot and store it cold. It's all about keeping it out of that zone. So that leads us perfectly to the most powerful and, honestly, the most accessible preservation tool that most of us have right in our own homes, the freezer. And you know what? It really is that simple. If you want to start preserving food and cutting down on waste, mastering your freezer is, without a doubt, the best first step you can take. Freezing basically works by hitting a giant pause button on spoilage. It stops those microbes from growing because it turns all the water inside the food into tiny ice crystals, making it totally unusable for them. It also slows down all those chemical reactions, which helps preserve the flavor and the nutrients. But that pause button isn't a perfect fix for every single food. Anything with a ton of water, like cucumbers or lettuce, is just going to turn limp and mushy. That's because those sharp ice crystals literally shred your delicate cell walls. Same goes for stuff like mayonnaise. It's an emulsion, and freezing will just cause it to separate and break apart. Now, if you get really serious about freezing, you might think about getting a separate unit. A vertical freezer, an upright one, is awesome for organization and it fits easily into a kitchen. But a chest freezer is way more energy efficient and it's perfect for big, bulky stuff. And here you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The upright model kind of acts like a second fridge with shelves, which makes it super easy to find things. The chest freezer, on the other hand, is all about maximizing every last inch of storage space. But yeah, you might have to do some digging to find that bag of peas at the very bottom. Okay, pro tip for freezing vegetables, you have to blanch them. This quick dip in boiling water and then into an ice bath is so important. Why? Because it stops those natural enzymes that would otherwise keep working, even in the freezer, breaking down the color, flavor, and texture of your veggies. And how you pack your food is just as crucial. Please use proper freezer bags and squeeze out every bit of air you possibly can. That is your #1 defense against the dreaded freezer burn. And always label what it is and the date you froze it. Trust me, your future self is going to thank you for that. So you've frozen everything perfectly. Now, how do you thaw it out safely? The golden rule, the #1 thing to remember, is never on the kitchen counter. The safest way is always overnight in the fridge. If you're in a hurry, you've got other safe options, like the microwave or a cold water bath, but you absolutely have to cook that food right away. And please remember this. The freezer is a pause button. It is not a magic eraser. It stops bacteria from growing, but it does not kill them. So if the food wasn't safe to eat when it went into the freezer, it's not going to be safe when it comes out.
Freezing is an amazing modern tool, for sure, but it's really just one chapter in the long, fascinating history of food preservation. So let's take a quick look at a few other methods. And notice how these all tie right back to our friend hot pats? Dehydration is one of the oldest methods, and it just removes the humidity so microbes can't grow. Think beef jerky. Canning is a 1-2 punch. It uses heat to kill everything, and then a vacuum seal to remove the oxygen. And fermentation. Fermentation is so cool. It actually uses good bacteria to create an acidic environment that preserves the food and adds these incredible new flavors, like you get in kimchi or sauerkraut.
All right, finally, let's tackle one of the single biggest causes of food waste in our homes, that best before date. This is probably the most misunderstood label in the entire grocery store.
Here's the most important takeaway. For most foods, best before is about peak quality, not safety. Now, for high-risk things like raw meat, yes, you have to follow that date. But for stuff like yogurt, eggs, or canned goods, that date is just a suggestion. The food is often perfectly safe and delicious for days, weeks, or even years after. For any of those low-risk foods, just forget the date and use the incredible tools you were born with, your own senses. Look at the food, smell it. Does anything seem off? Your eyes and nose are fantastic at detecting spoilage. You just gotta trust them. So really, it all comes down to this. Understanding the why, that invisible world of microbes and enzymes in your own kitchen, it gives you the power to take control, preserve your food safely, and waste a whole lot less. And that's our explainer on food preservation. So now the only question left is, what technique are you going to use to save some food from going to waste this week?